Hello hockey fans, my name is David. Thought I would start this video at 3:41 on the afternoon of Wednesday, 9th of November, 2022 North American Eastern Time. 12:41 out on the Pacific coast of Canada and the contiguous United States. So, start off with some news of the day. A 2-game suspension to Montreal Canadiens 2022 draftee Yuri Slafkovsky for a dirty hit from behind on Red Wings winger Matt Luff. I've reviewed that play over and over again. I didn't get to watch the game, just the highlights. There were so many games on. Tuesday was absolutely crazy in terms of Canadian teams in action. All 7 were. So, the Habs one, didn't get to it. I would have liked to, but there were just too many on at once. And all over by, I don't know, mostly by 10 or so Eastern time on Tuesday. So, by the time I was able to get to the Habs game and find out how the Habs had done, it was over. Well, get a bit later as to which Canadian teams end up getting points, and those that didn't. But I thought I would first mention that the hit on Matt Luff was vicious, dangerous, and absolutely unnecessary. To me, I thought I would go back a little bit to last November during a Canucks road game in Denver against local Avalanche squad. And it was late in the third period. Canucks, the Avs were leading the Canucks 6-1 when Canucks D-man Tucker Pullman did this kind of a stick swing, a retaliatory hit against then Avalanche winger Kiefer Sherwood. Sherwood thankfully was unhurt, was not injured. He got to stay in the game. He had the stamina to do so. It's amazing, is it not? Because a headshot, when you hit someone in the head, it's not easy to take the impact. Hit to the head can injure someone, and Pullman was in the wrong. Passionate Canuck fan, Canuck Clay, whose real name is Clay Imu, claimed that the 2-game suspension that Pullman had received from the NHL Player Safety Department had been hard to argue against. Well, oh boy, with Matt Luff of the Wings out for, well over a month, I'm afraid probably say 2 months at this point, it's hard to argue that the suspension against Slafkovsky should have been shorter than 2 games. So those fans that claim that, the hit with Slafkovsky was justified, it was so clean. No, it wasn't. It was dirty. Why else was Slafkovsky ejected from that game? Jacob Melanson, a Seattle Kraken draftee, was ejected from a preseason game for a dirty hit on Edmonton Oilers player. That was 5 minutes, and Jacob Melanson was gone, sent to the dressing room. To me, no different with Slafkovsky. So, I think if you ask me, do I remember what Tucker Pullman did? Yes, I did. It's out there. I plan to give as soon as possible on Wednesday Eastern Time, give the links to various videos I refer to, so that anyone who watches my video on the Slafkovsky suspension can refer to the Pullman one, about which Clay Imu talked about in that video of his. So yes, it's well deserved. There comes some who claim that the suspension should have been a lot longer than 2. To me, it was hard to argue that Slafkovsky should have been suspended for 1 game or none. To me, certainly, Slafkovsky deserved to be ejected, and the penalty deemed as a major. That's 5 minutes. To me, it was the right decision. So what about? So I don't want to go on and talk too much about more about Slafkovsky because he was suspended. Hopefully he learns from this, and also he should be prepared to have his conduct by the Habs monitored quite strictly over the rest of the season because of what occurred. It's just not acceptable to hit someone from behind, and then that head goes into the boards. It's cringeworthy. That guy could have been stretchered off, given the impact. It's amazing that Luff didn't have to be stretchered off. It doesn't make the injury any less serious, of course, because Matt Luff is gone till likely sometime late next month or more likely January at the earliest. All right, enough of that. Thought I would do is now turn to what happened on Tuesday Eastern Time, various Canadian teams, with the Canucks, Oilers, Jets, and Habs getting points via wins. The Leafs getting a point via an overtime loss to the Golden Knights, with the Senators having lost their 6th game in a row, with all such losses having come in regulation, losing a home game to the Canucks. And the Calgary Flames losing a road game to the New Jersey Devils, even by the thinnest of margins, 3-2. The Edmonton Oilers, who would have thought, would stand tall and win their own game in Florida against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It looked like the Oilers were going to be absolutely obliterated. Thinking, if they couldn't beat a Capitals team that had been struggling to put up points in the standings, how did the Oilers have even a chance in hell of getting a point against a much superior Lightning squad? I didn't. But Oilers proved utterly, like me, wrong. The Oilers are going to be absolutely obliterated. It's why I don't like to bet. They have all these betting sites. Not that I endorse any of them. I don't. Of course, I encourage people to play responsibly, if they do. But I don't like to do so. It's like all these betting sites, DraftKings, Bet99, BetRivers, you name it. You can play student bets and all that. I don't like to do so because I don't want to lose my shirts. I don't want to lose my shirt betting, betting money on games. It's just some people do it for fun, but I don't. It's very hard to predict results. Just because I predict a result doesn't mean it's going to necessarily happen. Of course, there's no doubt whatsoever that the Senators, that the Leafs have points in each of their past 5 games, going back to an October overtime loss to the Anaheim Ducks. It was a blown lead, just like the one against, the home game against the Golden Knights under 18 hours ago was. Although the lead was slimmer at 3-2 as opposed to 3-1. Yeah. The Leafs, the Calgary Flames, the Senators have absolutely no points in their last 6 games and are, pretty much near the bottom. Put out a tweet earlier on Wednesday about the video tweet about standings, in each of the conferences. And when it comes to Canadian teams, the Jets and Leafs are in top 3 divisional spots. The Oilers and Flames are in wild card spots. The Oilers in the first wild card spot in the West. The Flames in the second. Canucks aren't that far behind. Aren't far behind the Flames. On the other hand, the Habs aren't that far behind playoff spot either. But those Senators are dropping down like there's no tomorrow. The Flames should be lucky to be in a playoff spot. After all, they've struggled mightily for the last 6 games. Just 2 points. Their power play has stunk. The penalty kill has been very good. Well, 3/4 of penalty. There was on Sportsnet Central on Tuesday Eastern Time. I looked at when Sportsnet presented those stats, thinking, what on earth? Weren't the Flames supposed to be better than what they have been? They need to be on a roll. And don't treat me that, it's a slump. All teams go through slumps. Well, 6 games? That's a lot. It's difficult to come back from those. During the regular season. It's hard to make up the points. The Flames have 2 out of a possible 12 points over the last 6 games. 1/3 of a point per game on average. It's equivalent of 1 win. Flames don't have any wins, but my goodness, have they struggled. They haven't found a way to win. Well, Wednesday is going to be not as crazy as Tuesday was. Wednesday, the Canucks and Habs are in action, with the Habs hosting and the Canucks just driving over from the Canadian Tire Centre in Ottawa to the Bell Centre in Montreal. But my goodness, Sens seem to be going nowhere. Are they a playoff team? No. Just all those issues. And they signed Tim Stützle to a multi-season contract. Even, at multi-millions of dollars. And yet, these Sens have proven during the Pierre Dorion era as GM, not very much, other than, in his first season they did, went to a conference final, then Sens went down. Gotta wonder, in terms of general managers, Pierre Dorion could be on the hot seat because, team's so flawed. I mean, who knows? How soon that team will ever make will make that postseason. Also, look at the Calgary Flames. I mean, the Habs weren't expected to make a playoff spot, and who knows if they will. But for the Flames to drop down like a stone, that was just unreal, unexpected. I mean, it started hitting to watch Canadian hockey teams and finding new ways to lose. The Flames have pretty much flamed out. And the very interesting episode of Game Over Calgary, I mentioned I could find, one forward, it was Nazem Kadri, who had averaged a point per game or more. I'd managed to find, for the Leafs, 3 who'd averaged at least a point per game, and a 4th, William Nylander, who had been a point away from having averaged 1 or more points per game. It's just, I'm lucky to be following a team, the Leafs, that seems to be picking up. But we'll see what happens. I mean, the Leafs have some tough games ahead. Leafs did, take 5 out of a possible 6 points against teams with average points per game of 1.5 or more. Pretty good test of fire. The Flames have simply been misfiring. Who knows if they're going to pick things up? They have these acquisitions of Nazem Kadri from on free agency. Jonathan Huberdeau, a winger from the Panthers. Mackenzie Weegar on defense. And yet, the Panthers are in the playoffs, or almost in a playoff spot. The Flames are close to dropping out of one. Who knows how long the Flames will be in a playoff spot? They're vulnerable. It may be very well pretty soon that that Brad Treliving, the longtime GM, will be given the boot. It's not like the Flames have had huge amount of playoff success under him, but we'll see what happens. The rest of the way, anyway, go Leafs go.